Good morning, everybody. John Spielke here for GAI Insights, bringing you the top GenAI news, essential, important, or optional. Putting thoughts in your head and time in your day. Got a full house today. We got Pankaj, Paul, Luda, Adam, and of course, Vivek Mukhtar from Pfizer. Delightful to have you, Vivek. Great to have you here.
Thank you for having me, guys.
We got tons going on today. Pankaj, start us off with the first one, please.
Sure, thanks, John. So the first one that we have for today comes from Artificial Analysis, and it is their State of AI Q3 2025 report.
Yeah, their quarterly report here. What do you think of that?
Yeah, this is a nice handbook for an AI leader, aggregating all the information from the Q3 updates on how these models and foundation and providers are evolving. I think they've done a decent job at highlighting some of the key takeaways from that. These frontier labs are accelerating development across all different modalities, from image, sound, video, and video generation and image editing becoming mainstream. I gave this an important, given that if the leaders who've been following this channel or any other news, none of this should come as a surprise. But it's a nice compendium to utilize for the decision making. And the other reason I gave this an important is because it just doesn't talk a little bit about the enterprise deployment realities that happen. It does highlight some of the fully integrated, this slide specifically, that how well Google is fully integrated throughout the stack, and it's going to be a good decision-making tool for enterprise AI leaders. But I gave it an importance still.
All right, important, good data here. What do you think, Adam?
Yeah, I think the forwardability and the relevance of so much of the information here just pushed it over the edge into essential to me. I think it's something everyone should really stay across. Artificial analysis has just been doing such a fine job quarterly with this report and really staying on the pulse of things. A couple of things I wanted to call out that really stood out to me. One, as Vivek mentioned, the vertical integration with Google and really being the only player that's really strong across the whole stack is something to be paying attention to as you look at the longevity and the competitiveness in the market. The other big one is really coming back to that token explosion we keep talking about and what we saw at the conference in terms of not being able to have the predictability and the risk of really just sort of doing the number of token counts, or I guess the cost per million tokens as your claim, because although these things are getting literally hundreds of times cheaper, we're also consuming 10x more of them. So there is this paradox that they're saying, oh, it should be getting much, much less expensive to operate, when in fact that's not what we're seeing. And I think this highlights that well also. So there was probably enough insights in there that everyone's going to get some value from it, which pushed it over into essential for me.
All right, essential. What do you think here, Luda?
Yeah, I was also on the essential side. I like those 5 trends that Pankaj showed earlier. And yeah, I think the leaders follow the agentic capabilities and the fact that competition is intensifying. What they called out is 2 trends that I think are worth mentioning: that speech-to-speech models reach viability for production use. We've been talking about this, right? But it's getting there. That's what we are seeing. Also, the image editing that was kind of brewing, but didn't come to fruition until the announcement of Gemini 2.5 Flash, Nano Banana, right, that everybody is now using. So calling out those trends, I thought, was also pretty important. So I felt that overall, it's essential for AI leader.
All right, Akash.
I was also essential on this one, John. I think all the reasons that Adam and Luda mentioned. And I think there's another slide which is important to highlight, is this one, where we can see OpenAI and Google and Meta having models across all the modalities, and Anthropic is lagging far behind in that. So that was one interesting takeaway for me. But otherwise, every page is useful for an AI reader, so an essential read.
All right. Yeah, I was going essential as well. Essential it is. Pankaj, next.
Okay, the next one comes from Anthropic, and it is titled Disrupting the First Reported AI Orchestrated Cyber Espionage Campaign.
Yeah, we got the Kirks here. They're on the beach, just filling it in, disrupting the world. What do you think, Adam?
I got to come back to my mute button. That's what I think. Look, I was actually essential on this as well. It's a bit of a wake up call about why sort of the new threat landscape and really good reporting on it from Anthropic. So a little bit about what happened. I feel like I've been hearing so much talk about this already. If people, that's also why it should be essential. Like, I don't know, it feels like it's been talked about for a week, but it's probably literally only been over the last couple of days already. But basically what happened is Chinese state-sponsored threat actors actually orchestrated an espionage campaign using AI at an unprecedented level. So there's been campaigns and threat actors who have used AI before, but this was where AI actually did 80 to 90% of the hacking autonomously. So it's really where it was almost entirely done by AI agents and orchestrated at a scope and scale we've never seen before. Part of what's the key insight from this is that Claude, which was used to help orchestrate it, was jailbroken into believing that it was okay to perform a lot of these malicious attacks because they were employee pen testing activities. So it's a word of caution about some of the ways that these very powerful large language models can be used on the dark side. So an essential read from an awareness perspective in terms of how quickly the threat landscape is escalating.
All right. Vivek, did this give you chills?
Yeah, this is interesting. Again, I don't know how relevant it is directly to folks who are implementing AI, but I'm with Adam here that the capabilities are increasing rapidly, and both for the attackers. So hopefully the defenders will also start incorporating some of these capabilities. That's what the article highlights, and it pretended to be an employee of a cybersecurity firm, and that's how it was able to get to. So very simple thought can lead to now giving these capabilities to several bad actors. So something we'll definitely keep an eye out for, and just to be in the know as AI leader.
All right, Paul, where are you on this one?
Yeah, definitely essential. This is high affordability, so that we make sure your CISO and your executives know this. A second thing I get, this is another example, to use an American analogy, of the foundation companies driving 75 into 55. So they are not testing their product enough. They're not nearly putting enough on this. And I think one of the things that corporations need to do is really start thinking about in the SOA and the contracts, how much am I demanding responsible work out of these guys? They're running around, raising money like drunken sailors, all are really enjoying the employee buybacks and absolutely skimping by explicit choice on extra taping. And this is why the downside is increasing right now. So because of that, absolutely essential.
Yeah, you were thinking you meant drunken sailors in a good way, right, Paul? The
good or bad way. That's a whole nother topic.
Ankash, what do you think?
This is an essential read, John.
All righty, Luda?
Yeah, I also believe it's essential, but I wanted to highlight that kudos to Anthropic. They have been building that layer, focusing on security. They caught it. I don't know whether anybody else would have caught it so quickly, and they're now popularizing it. I think for a reason, right? I think they're building into owning that vertical in security, because they actually build capabilities in that space. And I actually liked the article for that reason. It's a wake-up call, a serious wake-up call. And it also says that we have capabilities to catch it if we focus on it, to Paul's point. So I think it's essential, and I think it's absolutely a wake-up call.
Luda, are you suggesting that Anthropic's an ethical company? I mean, they paid $1.5 billion. They paid the largest fine ever for stealing copyright information and training.
That's a different topic, Paul. I'm talking about Anthropic. I know you have some kind of a how should I put it? You prefer other vendors to Anthropic. Let's put it this way. But I actually like Anthropic. They, from the very beginning, focused on security and built tools and popularized with the tools around security. So I feel it's a very important area. And you're right, people are not paying as much attention as they should. So I feel in that specific area, in that vertical, Anthropic has a lot to offer.
And just for record, Luda, I think Anthropic's doing a great job. I think some of their competitors are less or even more risky than they are. But anyway, essential article.
Yeah, I get the impression that Paul's basically saying, look, among the thieves, they're the best, right? But they're still thieves. And there is I'm reminded one time I went down to Louisiana, and my host took me through a drive-through daiquiri place. And so, you can get in New Orleans, you can actually drive through and get a 42-ounce frozen margarita made with 151 proof rum. And the law down there used to be, I don't know if it still is, you could drive while you could drink while driving, you just couldn't be drunk while driving.
But John, this gets a bigger issue is there's no financial penalty, I think, for using these models to drive suicides and to drive absolute coordinated defense and security contacts here. So I think that's a big society issue. We've already given up on that before. And the question is, are we just going to continue the same status quo and say there's no downsides? I built a gun, but I didn't shoot the person is the standard argument.
Yeah. I think that they've successfully avoided any regulation, and I don't think that's a good thing necessarily. Anyway, essential article though, essential it is. Next.
Okay, moving forward to the next one. This one comes from OpenAI, and it is titled Understanding Neural Networks Through Sparse Circuits.
Yeah, wow. What do you think here, Luda?
Yeah, it's a total optional, maybe triple optional. But what OpenAI has done, it's a research project where they focused on interpretability, saying that, look, we have some techniques, chain of thought is one, but it really doesn't explain how the model thinks step at a time, right? And they took a method, essentially building sparse models that forcing the weights to be zero in many of the connections between the neurons. So as a result, you can trace very simple examples as they're being predicted. However, it's really teensy-weensy little examples. And it's, in my mind, this is not a scalable type of approach. So I think it's a great experiment. They're thinking about it, but it's not a path to success. So triple optional for me.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of a trivial contribution. Why they publicized it, I don't know. But what do you think of it?
Yeah, the exact same. Obvious conclusions without any evidence of impact. And my conspiracist is that this potentially was just generated by the AI itself. That's, I can imagine the hypothesis is just not there here.
Yeah.
So, study.
All right, we're going optional. Ankash, you okay with that?
Yes, John, optional for me as well.
Yeah, it reminds me of the nematodes in biology, like the super simple organisms, so they could study them better. It's sort of like that concept, but okay, great, but what are you going to do with them?
Right, right. But meanwhile, you're you're shipping stuff that's way past the Cambrian explosion. And anyway, Paul, optional. All righty. Next.
Okay, the next one comes from Baidu, and it has unveiled Ernie 5.0 and a series of AI applications at Baidu World 2025.
All right, Ankash, Baidu continues the naming idiocy, but here we have Ernie. Tell us about it.
Yes, so they claim that Ernie 5.0 is a multi-model model, and it has understanding of all the modes that are out there: text, images, audio, and videos. I tested it on video and images as well. It failed on both. I shared a video of GAI Insights daily AI news with it, and it went to some movie video and started explaining that. So that is not working well. Other than that, it has a no-code application builder, Myoda, and a general AI agent, Genflow. And they have also announced a self-evolving agent called Femu. This is in a long list of agents. We have one from Sakana AI, we have Alpha Evolve from Google DeepMind, and a few others in this area. So while it's a important announcement, Ernie 5.0 does a good job on logical conclusions. I fed it mathematical problems, it solved that, it wrote good content as well. But their key claim about multimodal model, that's not working well. So for that reason, I gave it an important, but otherwise, a news which every AI leader should know. Other bit is I read a recent article which claims that 80% of YC startups, they are using Chinese models now. So from that perspective as well, I think an important news.
Which kind of startups, Akash, did you say?
Y Combinator startups, John.
Gotcha.
80% of them are using Chinese models now.
Chinese models to
And
start.
there's another bit, John. So all these new set of models, so Baidu, then Alibaba Quinn, and I think Ant Group Link set of models, they now have proper these AI days where they are announcing not only models but associated toolings and tools built on the top of these models, which can directly be used by consumers. So a lot of advancements in Chinese models.
Got it. Adam, where are you?
It was important as well. I think it's worth being aware of the fact that Baidu is competing at this level in the space. But at the end of the day, this is product announcements.
Yes, and Akash, if you could share the article about the Y Combinator, that'd be helpful for Ashish. Vivek, where are you on this? Important?
Yeah, same, important. I think it's for AI leaders who are implementing globally, as well as in US now. I think I agree with Ankash's point that I'm personally as well, I'm starting to kind of pivot from Nano Banana to Quen Image, just given how cheaper the models are to do almost the same amount of performance. So
yeah, Luda?
Yeah, it's a public company. It trades on NASDAQ. They're pushing these models into the US. They're much cheaper than US capabilities. So I think they will be used, and the AI leader needs to be aware of that, even though it's really a product announcement across a number of things. So in normal, I would have probably put an optional on this one, but with that international push and the fact that they are way cheaper, I think it's worth putting an important.
Paul, headed for important here. What do you think?
Sure, I can support important here. My only footnote is I think, the thing I'm watching is when does Silicon Valley capital, venture capital, start moving away from startups that use closed models and startups that use Chinese models here. I think that's already occurring. And if you have a third of the venture capital kind of give up on the Valley's ability to compete in China, you got a very different AI framework in the next 15 years.
Yeah, well, I mean, what Akash was saying about Y Combinator headed there already, right? I don't know the
Yes.
dough behind. I
The
think most,
startups need to count pennies, right? So they will find the models that are performant and not as expensive and do it safely. So yeah, absolutely.
yeah, I'm not sure about the safely part, but yeah, they'll definitely use them.
Okay.
Yeah. Safety is not the first watchword that's coming out of these companies, I don't think. Anyway, I had it as important as well. All right, Akash, next.
Okay, the next one that we have for today comes from AWS, and it is a case study about Dhruva's multi-agent co-pilot for streamlined data protection.
All right. What do you think here, Vivek? I know you guys worry a lot about this at Pfizer.
Yeah, I think it's an excellent use case. So what they've done is Dhruva, in partnership with AWS, has developed a Gen AI Copilot chatbot, sort of designed to streamline data protection tasks, sort of looking at policy management, root cause analysis, and the really interesting and cool thing is that they've orchestrated some sub-agents that interpret queries and suggest actions, variety of different tooling and actions. And these are the kind of the simple implementations that AI leaders should focus on, not trying to go too crazy. They have some evals in there as well. So it's a nice, simple use case. And they're already starting to see potentially reduced time to insight, right? And time to resolution. So it has all the right components of an AWS case study, right? With impact methodology, they go into pretty good detail. So important.
John, I think you're on mute.
What do you think, Luda?
Yeah, I rate it as important. It's maybe on the border with essential. It has all the pieces. It's an important topic. Has all the pieces, the definition of the problem, how they implemented it, and really good results. 90% of let me see. So accuracy, I think. Let me see, and 90% of the data protection tasks executable through natural language interactions, and 70% acceleration of finding in the troubleshooting from hours to minutes. So good impact, the great case study from, I think it's between important to essential, actually.
All right. So we're headed for important, maybe to essential. Ankash, where are you on this?
I was important on this one, John. I think it provides some good insights into how to do this stuff, and it has quantitative results as well, so outcomes as well. So I was important on this one.
All right, Paul.
Yeah, definitely important here. And I wish I had more time. I want to track down whoever is doing all these case studies at Amazon. They're just fabulous. I mean, they don't just tell, they show, they have financial details. You know, we've had conversations the last 2 weeks with 2 other hyperscalers. We keep showing them this. I mean, this is the exemplar for the industry. And like artificial analysis needs extra kudos for their report. AWS cannot get enough kudos right now for these type of things. But right now, this is important.
All righty, we're headed for important. Any objections? All right.
No, John, I'll just add it. It could be essential back to your what is it? Not EAT. Is that the one? Yeah, your EAT framework.
Yeah.
You know, depending on where people are in their AI maturity, this could absolutely be essential. But I was just thinking that the vast majority of enterprise is probably not at a place in the maturity where they're really needing these good use cases for multi-agent systems yet. They should be, but they're not. Which is why, Luda, I was on the fence as well, but I ended up leaning towards important.
Yeah, I can see essential in this. I mean, look, the applications are, you know, the data application is massive, right? This, you know, we generally try to point people to where the future's going in this. So,
and this is security. This is the area where you need to automate. There's not enough security people out there, right, who can actually work on this manually, right? So you absolutely need to automate. This is a very good definition of what they've done. So I feel essential would be actually good as a leading into where the market is going or needs to be.
We're going to go essential here. And Ankash, take us to the next one.
Is that our third essential on the first day of the week?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Okay. Yes, John, moving on to the next one. This one comes from the Wall Street Journal, and it is titled "When AI Hype Meets AI Reality, A Reckoning in 6 Charts."
All right, Adam.
Look, I mean, it's a really important point, but I'm not sure if there's enough here to even tip it into important for me over optional. Basically, what they're saying is if you start looking at the reality, the physical reality of what it takes to scale up the infrastructure that the investment is going into, in some ways, the math just may not add up. I mean, literally to the point of those transformers, the big sort of house-sized boxes that connect these data centers to the rest of the power grid. The orders through 2028 are already fully booked up. So at a certain point, there are physical limitations in terms of the ability to scale that just don't necessarily justify the investment and the expected return that they think they're going to get because they just literally won't have the compute capacity to deliver on it. It's a really interesting point. I said potentially a very important point, but I just didn't feel there was enough for the AI leader to take away from this other than, wow, yeah, this really might be up in the air and we're not sure. So there wasn't enough direction or guidance for me about what you could do with this information to really make it an important read.
Vivek, I'm looking at optional. What do you think?
Yeah, it's also optional. I don't know how this can be utilized by an AI leader currently. This is for investors and CIOs and CFOs potentially to plan for the future.
All right, Luda.
Optional. It just said the article set up like we're building capacity. What would you need to do to deliver revenue wise? And the article didn't deliver on that computation. It was very slim. And they said, well, every person in the world, if they pay $35 per monthly per for AI services, that's when it would reach that it would recoup the investment. And $35
didn't seem that unreasonable to me, Luda, for what
so
we're
it
getting.
wasn't really, they didn't deliver on that promise. If there was like huge gap, but I didn't see it. And also, but they have make a good point that the capacity and what we're thinking will reach in revenue in 28 is at the mismatch. So it needs to be adjusted, but there's no value in that point. Yeah, maybe. So no, optional.
All right, Akash.
Optional, John, just a point on the other article where I claimed Y Combinator startups. So those are not YC startups, but A16Z startups. So sorry about that. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, just go ahead and send it to.
I will share that. Yeah.
Paul, optional.
Totally optional here. This is peanut gallery conversation. I mean, these are one of the world's most sophisticated investors making a big bet. We saw the exact same argument when everyone was putting fiber down in the early days of the internet. Oh my God, we're never going to fill up the fiber. And who cares? I mean, if you're actually investing, then you're allowed to have this conversation. Other than that, it's peanut gallery. And to Vivek's point, there's nothing here that the AI leader can do tactically. So optional.
Yeah, I think that the stupidity that this particular article amplifies is looking at AI as a standalone business, which is just stupid beyond belief. Because we know that the producers of this are also using it to change their own economics in a profound way. Also, the geopolitical implications of this. You think that it costs a lot of money to make submarines. That doesn't mean we don't make them. And what's the economic return? So, I mean, there's going to be huge money put into this just for military industrial issues. Will people lose money when you have the biggest wave of investing since God knows when, certainly bigger than the internet, probably as biggest wave since the industrialization on a relative basis? Of course, there's going to be money made and lost.
Right. And John, this is the supply curve. You can't even have this peanut gallery conversation without a conversation about the demand curve.
Absolutely.
And everything we've seen in the demand curve, this thing is through the roof and exceeding expectations every time we turn around.
Yeah, and the relationship between public capital and private capital and infrastructure investment versus economic return, to characterize each of these things as they were some kind of standalone business, when you're sitting there looking at Microsoft that's generating $2 billion worth of EBITDA a week in its core business. It's like, it's anyway, enough. And it's in the Wall Street Journal. I mean, what the heck? These guys are supposed to know this stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not like it's the New York Daily News or something. Okay.
Luda, no one is above John's scorn.
No, but I agree with him on Wall Street Journal. They shouldn't let these type of articles through. This is like confusing and not useful. Like, what in the world?
Anyway, I will say the Journal is one of the few places that might actually have a few journalists left there, which is interesting. Okay, so if we get the tote board, Paul, I know we got a couple of announcements.
Yes, a couple announcements tonight on our Learning Lab at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. Jenny from our AI training group is going to go for 201 training on ChatGPT. And that includes GPTs, which I continue to find, my estimates, less than 1% of users have done GPT within chat, and they are fabulous. I'm going to publish an article. I published an article in Forbes last week about a GPT that proofreads and critiques your PowerPoint presentations, and I use it 3 to 5 times a week. Second is we continue our free classes on Copilot ChatGPT at noon, Tuesday and Thursday, noon Eastern. And third, we continue to do a lot of work on the AEO, and we have our AEO peer group at 3 o'clock on this Friday. So if you are not a vendor, but if you're at a company, director of performance management, director of SEO, VP of marketing, want to participate in that, message me.
All right. Any other announcements? All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you all tomorrow. Have a great AI day. We got 3 essentials, 2 optionals, and 1 important. A lot of reading today. I think you'll find it useful. Bye-bye now.